Gundam.tk presents 1/100th Zollidia. Hey, what's up again, everybody? It's Robert184, 2Rs2Bs, GundamReviews.net, and I couldn't be happier to take this old stroll down memory lane with the 1/100th Zollidia, the only bad guy in 1/100th from Victory Gundam. And this is not a high grade, although the other kits in the line were. But anyway, all the parts are put together, as these empty plates can attest to, so let's take a look at the parts before putting this bad guy together. When it's all assembled, here's the parts that you're going to be getting to make up the main body. To go along with the large beam shield, the beam rifle, the backpack, and two clear beam sabers, which are the same color as that. Starting bottom to top with the parts here, you can see a big ugly seam line to greet you there, but hopefully that's going to get covered up by the skirts. Just a polycap there, as this is going to attach onto the hips in the old school way. When you're putting this together, you're going to have a choice. You're going to have to follow the manual, I suppose. But you have an ugly part here for the knee attachment. And since usually when you've got it on display, you've got the legs sort of out like this, so I decided to put the ugly part on the outside. That's a choice that you can make when you're putting it together. You do have some lining opportunities if you want to put it in there, but if you're thinking this red part is a nice seal, well, yes, it certainly is. Now, it would have been a lot nicer if that was a nice piece of plastic instead, like you're getting down just a centimeter below with the toes. It is cool that with the feet, you're going to be getting three colors in there. You can see the two shades of gray that are used, which sort of break this whole thing up. But in terms of articulation, you can move the ankles this way and ever so slightly off to the side. The knee is going to bend here this much, and down here, you'll notice that it can bend, not really so much forward. But overall, you do have a very interesting and sort of animal-looking leg there, something that's a very different from your typical Gundam. These long front armors should cover up the ugly seam lines on the legs, and that's a good thing. But down below, you're going to have two stickers. You can see the light is just going to reflect differently off them. Red ones that are actually inside here. They do have cuts in the corners, so they do fit in okay. You're just going to want to position them so that they look all right when they're symmetrical. This green part down there goes extra long underneath, which is a good thing. And you've got these opportunities you could go and paint in there. I just went. You've got some deep channels. Just put in a little bit of lining. You've got red here for the inner frame, if you want to call it that. You can see these old school type of polycaps holding things on. But it's a little bit of a plus that the side skirts are going to have some color differentiation there with some thrusters or something like that down there. And then you've just got a big solid back with one piece with some lining opportunities. So it's effective, colorful, and actually seems to bring this kit alive a little bit. The chest continues doing the same thing, as it's actually got more colors in it than you'd expect with the light gray and the darker gray there. Red on the front, if you were hoping that's a green piece, it's certainly not. It's only going to be a seal. But you also have the bonus of these parts up here actually being done in gray as well. Now, on a newer master grade, you'd imagine that those would open and some sort of weapons would come out and blow everybody up. But in this case, 1993, it's not going to happen. And if you thought these were going to be a different color, they're not. But if you just line them up, they actually look pretty effective. In terms of moving points, you're going to have nothing there for the shoulders, just where you attach the backpack on, and if you think the neck moves, you'd be wrong, so it's just a pretty solid, however somewhat colorful, piece of plastic for the chest. There's no real sugarcoating how ugly this is, because when you take a look in the box, maybe you can even see it from here, that yes, the shoulder is supposed to be black with red trim all around it. They pull it off mostly with the other one, but they sure didn't do it with this one. In terms of the plastic, you're going to have a big seam line there down the middle, but it's mostly hidden if you look at it from the front. You do have some color differentiation if you wanted to, or like these raised parts here if you want to go do that. Taping this wouldn't be impossible, but it's not something, unless I had a spray can in the exact right color, something I'm not going to do today. But for you color mixers, you'd have no problem at all taking care of this. Inside, you can just see that this part is going to allow the shoulder to go up and down there. It doesn't rotate around here as we're used to with newer Gundams, but around at the elbow, which was the style at the time. You've got this gray part down here, which is going to allow the arm to come forward, not even 90, and go back, not 90. So you've got a good 160 degrees of motion, but not in the direction that you want it to be. This is where you can attach on the shield, some lining possibilities there, and the hands are old school. You are going to get the 3-finger trigger finger split. No space between the fingers, and the wrist is going to move around, but the thumb is going to be rock solid. And here are the left and right arms for comparison. This one's not going to have anything mounted down there on the form. It's just going to have the shield locked into place up here. It's good, though, that you've got this red part here, which at least follows the Zollidia's color scheme. Seals on the front and the back, and this part actually looks surprisingly good if you just put in a little bit of black lining from your old $2 marker there. It's just unfortunate that both sides don't have that nice red trim with a black part on the top, because otherwise this kit would be fantastic, I think, despite the fact that it's almost 20 years old. The thrusters are treated somewhat separately by the manual, so here they are. You can see that this part is going to move up and down, and this part moves independently. Two colors in gray there, and if you wanted to add some paint details on the inside, I'm sure you could really make these things pop. The beam rifle is very plasticky looking. I put a little bit of black lining in there, but it does have this surprising feature that you can open this up and expose the scope, and it actually has some mechanical looking parts in there, so that's a bit of a bonus. The only thing being, they gave you a bunch of other seals in this, including green ones. A nice one for the inside there, something that you can fix with just some Christmas or some wrapping tape or something like that. Just would have been nice if Bandai had included it instead. The shield generator is going to fit nicely onto the left forearm there, and it's really deep. I've got this split apart a little bit, but I'm really happy with those nice deep channels that they included and lining possibilities all over the place, because it's going to match what you see on the other shoulder. If you open this whole thing up though, then you can put it in here and it's going to hold everything from this beam shield into place quite nicely. And overall, the beam shield, I'd say, is looking pretty good. It's got a lot of details into it. Those rays blasting out are just going to add to the realism. Not bad for a $10 kit. You are going to get two beam sabers thrown in, which are going to have the handles in clear, which is never a great thing, but they'll be covered up mostly by the manipulators. And it's cool that they've got clear blades, which are going to match the shield. And you'll just notice how big that shield is overall in comparison. It is going to win some points back though with the head, but you're going to have to put in a little bit of work to do this to make it look this good, and really compared to a Pro this is not that good at all, just a little bit better than it would be out of the package. On the back you're just going to see that there's nothing except these piping, so if you want to go put some lining in there you're more than welcome to. You can see a big seam line there in the front, and you'll notice that it's just going to attach on a poly cap there, which keeps things simple. But it's onto the front where you're actually going to get some no color differentiation here, it's just one solid piece. But you're going to get these red stickers which fit on, and because they're bent over 1, 2, 3, 4 parts there, you can imagine that they have to get pushed back down every once in a while as they're going to peel up. That's inevitable. The lining looks pretty good though. One thing I wasn't crazy about though is that they've got this nice little triangle there on the top, and they don't give you a seal for it. So if you want to go paint that, because you've got some etching in there, it would be easy to get it in just inside the lines, but because you do have this sticker sheet, all you have to do is go cut some red off there, and you can make a little triangle. Mine isn't very good when you see it up close, but it's fine from a distance. But the most important part for the head, and something that you're going to have to choose, is which set of eyes you're going to get. As you may have seen in the unbox there, you're going to get a choice. The clear parts here are the wide open ones, so if you can put them in, I figure that if you're not going to do any work or any painting whatsoever with the eyes, that putting these in would at least give you that clear purple, which would look okay against this light dark gray, whatever you want to call it. However, if you've got some Mr. Color or something, some paints kicking around of any type, I'm sure, you can go ahead and paint these. The only thing I find strange is that these ones are called main camera open, and if you want to paint them all red, that's going to make life very easy as it's just one color. The only thing being is that this is main camera closed, but then again, this is how it's depicted all over the box, and so I figured since that's the way it's depicted, it's nice to get that little bit of green, and it'll go with the sticker on the chest. So overall, if you've got some $2 pot of paint in 2 colors, then I think you'll be good doing something like this, and it's not really hard. Just put the red in and then do some green on the outside. Putting this guy together was actually a lot of fun. Even though it is an older kit, it's interesting to see the way that these legs and the waist armor especially, and the chest, to see all those colors in a small area is still pretty impressive. Disappointing that there's so many stickers all over the place. Some of them look good, but those ones on the legs would have been so much better off if they were actually plastic, like with the toes. However, with the head, those red seals, even though they are going to peel off, it's still better to have them than not, and the fact that you get a choice of eyes, including those clear parts, for me is pretty great. And again, if you want to put in some time with some paints, I think you could make this kit look pretty good. So far, just when I see it right here, I can see those 2 colors are going to look pretty good, and the red and the green, just for that extra little bit of trim, is going to look pretty good in terms of colors, so I look forward to seeing the mobile suit. So check out the next part, where you'll see this all put together, and as always, why don't you let me know what you think with a comment down below. Thanks for watching, subscribe if you haven't already, and don't want to miss any other vids. See you next time. Bye. You know, we both got pretty crazy by the end of our respective stories.